that one little thing that you learn each class, even though you think you know so much about it, it's that one little thing that you can then apply in the field that saves you, that half hour, that hour, and it just gives you that confidence as opposed to you're looking at something, you can't figure it out, you start kind of getting frustrated, but it clicks.
Well, hey, how you doing? I'm Brad Duncan with Raypak. I'm the National Pool Product Trainer here. We're talking today with my new friend here, whose name is Rudy, whose last name has jumped out of my head. What's your last name, man?
De Anda.
See, and it's such a difficult name to remember. Who could remember such a long and complicated name? Rudy De Anda. Rudy, how you doing?
Good, really.
Rudy is a fellow pool guy and is in the industry. How long are you in the industry, man?
It's been about on and off since I was 15, so I'm
Wow.
35, so it's been a good while.
So you're at least 20 years in the industry. Dan, if you were in it that young, that usually suggests that you started as a part of a family business. Is that what happened?
That's exactly. My uncle was he fell into it, and he needed some help for a summer. I hopped in and tested out at first for a couple years, left and came back, and then
Right.
I haven't left since. So
Well, there you go. So now you've made this your vocation at this point. You have your own business.
my own business, yeah, I do installations, repairs, all the electrical, plumbing installations. So that's what I mainly focus. I used to do service, but that gets pretty tough back in the valley because
I feel you.
it's pretty
Trust me.
nasty out there.
Yeah, been there, been down that road. I never did manage to get myself into a position where I was only doing service or only doing repairs and installations, but I was kind of headed that way before Raypak snapped me up. So now, you ever get the urge to hire your uncle?
No, even if I could, it's just not. He has his own huge company. He has like
Oh,
eight,
okay.
9 guys, so it's not even. Yeah,
Yeah, that's too bad because that would have been a full circle thing, wouldn't it?
that would be nice.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
But he's
Yeah.
definitely my biggest mentor. Him and my father-in-law. But
Yeah.
when you start off, you don't know so many different things. You just wish you had someone to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always literally at a drop of a hat. He'd literally just whatever you need, I'll be right there. So I attribute a lot of my success in this small bit that I have to people like him that gave me a helping hand and had someone to turn to because
Great.
that's the number one thing. Whenever you're stuck, someone can help you out. It's a nice feeling. So.
Okay, so you were very fortunate to have a kind of a built-in mentor. I had a few different guys that I went to for different different bits of information, but very important, I think, to anybody who's just starting out in the industry to have somebody that they can ask questions to, even if it's something you feel like is not particularly complicated. Just somebody to talk things over with and maybe explore different ways to do things. That's a handy thing to have. And so that kind of covers, my common question is, how'd you get in the industry? And of course, we now know that, and we do find a lot of guys follow other family members into the industry, or a lot of guys, started riding around with dad or something like that. I was just out of a job and needed
something.
work, and I owned a pickup truck. That was all it came down
That's
to.
the biggest advantageous part. If you already have a truck, you're halfway in the door.
You're halfway in the door, so you get yourself some gear and somebody to teach you how to vacuum a pool, and off you go.
Yeah, once you get your foot in the door, you start realizing how many more different things there are to it, and it just keeps it interesting because you keep learning. You never stop learning, and once you think you've learned everything, you get humbled by something, and oh yeah, you don't know everything yet. So
There's always a new thing coming. And then,
Always.
just when you think you got it figured out, oh look! And over the span of my career, I've seen variable speed pumps come up. I've seen saltwater chlorine generators come into play, and every time something new comes up, you got to figure out how to work it, how to service it, and how to make it work with everything else on the pad.
well, you have a lot of different trains of thought, but like I was raised, by my uncle, but other people that were kind of not, I'd call them old timers. They were kind of stuck on single speed pumps and salt cells are no good. And then you come in and you're like, all right, there's something to it, right? It's there. People want them. There's a demand. There's no point in ignoring this. So you go into it, you start learning, and it just opens different avenues, and you start realizing like there's a lot of stuff to learn. So, I try not to turn my back on anything like heat pumps, for example. Something that we were going over today. It's just like there's a lot of pushback sometimes with some guys that don't understand it. and you kind of try to understand like, oh, it makes sense. Everything has its own, nuance to it. But once you learn it, like, all right, it has its proper application, and when properly applied, it works perfectly fine the way it's supposed to. So it's definitely, just always trying to view from different viewpoints. That's why I like over here. I have so many family members and different things that when we get together, we try not to, but we end up one way or another talking about work. I
Of
always like,
course
no,
you
let's talk about
do.
something else. And one way or another, after a couple of beers, we start talking about
Sure.
the same topics all the time. But it's good because you get different viewpoints and you hear things. Oh yeah, this happened to me, that happened to me, and it's just nice to be able to bounce ideas off different people.
100%. 100%. What you find is the new products come along, you can't ignore them for long because even if you're not going to install them, let's say you just swear, I'm never going to install a saltwater chlorine generator. I'm just not going to touch them. I'll never do it. If you take on new customers, you're going to find that you're going to run into them.
Hmm.
And if you don't know how to work that stuff or service it, well, now your customer has to wonder if you really are a professional. Well, I thought you knew what you were doing, but you don't know what this thing is. So you find yourself having to learn these things.
You don't have a choice, and then it's something as specific as like a salt cell system, right? You go in and someone gives you a call, they're having issues, you show up, it's like, oh, my pool guy said it was low, he just kept dumping salt into it.
Yeah,
It's like at 10,000 parts per million or something. So
yeah.
it's like you have to learn it to be able to rectify the situation. So, never shine away from the challenge because, we like to have our basic, routine every day. And when you throw in that little, wrench in the machine of having to learn something new, you get scared. You're like, I can't figure it out. But you stick to it, stick to it, stick to it. Like, all right. And you'd be surprised just reading the manual on anything on an Avia. You just
Thank
sit
you.
down and you read
Yeah.
the Avia manual, like, oh, okay, that's really pretty obvious. It tells you that, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't read the manual.
Manuals are not entertainment. They're no fun. They're not good reading. They're written by propeller heads who are went to engineering school, and they're not always sometimes you got to read that sentence 3 or 4 times, but you can work it out. You'll figure it out, and then you learn how this thing works. Now,
And
most things like a heater, a heater's pretty much a heater. There's various types of them out there, but once you get the basics down, you have the confidence to go in there and go, well, I know heaters. Let's see what's in here. Let's see what's in this box. Let's find out what's going on.
well, how many, guys do you know that they have a problem with the heater and like, it's no good. We need a brand new one. It's like, well, there's obviously something wrong with it. We know we can test things out and test specific things, and we know the order or the sequence is supposed to fire up and do this and do that. So you can very quickly troubleshoot. And instead of trying to, throw the baby out with the bathwater, you're like, let's slow down. Let's figure out exactly what's wrong with it, fix it. And you end up, it's just a small little part. It was this little
Sure.
thing that's $100 instead of having to go get a whole brand new unit that's a couple $1,000. So
The real problem is if the problem happens to be, atmospheric in nature. If there's something on the site that's causing the problem, maybe it's not a heater problem at all. So you put in a new heater, and then that one goes down too because you didn't really fix the problem. You just replaced, the heater. And that was always a big fear of mine that I was gonna spend the money on the parts and that's labor, and I was gonna do all the work and get it all put together, and it was gonna fail again because I did not address the root cause of the problem.
which, and anything, there's always a cause and effect. So simple as, at a house, your GFI trips, yeah, you can reset it, but if it happens again, like, all right, what's causing
Yeah,
it?
we
You
have a
can sit there
problem.
all day long just resetting things, but you got to find what's causing it. Is it going to become a bigger issue if you ignore it? So same thing with like a pool heater. It's as simple as some little small thing. If you ignore it long enough, it's going to become a bigger issue. So if you nip it in the bud, it's just a lot easier for you just to keep the problem a lot simpler, a lot easier to fix as opposed to waiting long term and then there's no fixing it. You need a whole brand new unit and no warranty or something like
Yeah.
that, and that's when it's really
Yeah,
expensive.
that's when
So
it hurts.
that's when you really
And ultimately, the customer wants to know, well, why didn't you fix it sooner? Well, how come you didn't see that coming?
yeah,
And the fact is, they're right.
they are.
They are. You're the professional back there, and it's so. Then what it comes down to is some type of education, figuring out how to learn these things, reading manuals, attending classes. I'm pretty sure all of the major manufacturers have training classes, and I think you should go to as many as you can. And there's always something else to learn. And I took whatever classes I could and I always remember coming out of any class I took, I always come out, even if I didn't learn everything I wanted to know, I came out knowing more than I did when I went in.
Well, it just that one little thing that you learn each class, even though you think you know so much about it, is that one little thing that you can then apply in the field that saves you, that half hour, that hour, and it just gives you that confidence as opposed to you're looking at something, you can't figure it out, you start kind of getting frustrated, but it clicks, it starts making more sense because you put the time in. So, in essence, it's like being a professional. It's not some arrogant thing that I know more than anybody else. Like, no, I put the time in. I've dedicated myself to this. I really want to learn it, ins and outs. I can still make mistakes, but at least I'm honest. I can accept that. And that's when I've learned the most, right? Anytime you made a mistake, you're like, well, that taught me more than, being right 100 times. So
Yeah.
that's when I'm like, okay, that's what I did wrong. I'm not doing it again. And you just start fixing it. You buy that extra tool that helps you. So, that's always been the case of just putting in the time and people will see you fix a problem in 15 minutes. Oh, you fix it in 15 minutes. Like, no, it wasn't 15 minutes. I've spent
That's
how
right.
many years, how many headaches, how many times where scratches, bumps, this and that, staying up at night thinking and thinking and thinking about the problem. And that's what allows me to get there and be able to, diagnose and fix a problem in a short span of time. So,
Yeah. This is what, I occasionally you'll get that customer and was like, well, why is this bill so big? It took you 20 minutes to fix the thing. Like, well, you're not paying me for what I did. You're paying me for what I know. You pay me. I know how to do it because of the time that I've put in it thus far. If it was so easy, anybody could have done it, but anybody didn't do it. I did it.
exactly.
So write me a check.
Please.
Thank you very much. No, that's spot on, man. The time you spend, my dad used to call that head scratching time. So how much time did you spend looking at this thing, scratching your head to figure it out?
Yeah.
And that goes a long way toward what you talked about being a professional. It is about spending the time, taking the time to learn, and knowing how to proceed moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, and I go back to mentors like, my uncle, but also my father-in-law. He actually he worked for one of the Raypak warranty stations and taught me a bunch about Raypak. And seeing someone like him that was the type to stick to it. He wasn't the type like, well, I can't figure it out. Like, no, we spend 2-3 hours, and in the Palm Springs area, it gets up to 115, 120 degrees, sitting there, figuring it out, cooking. But hey, we're gonna figure this out. We're not leaving until we figure it out. And so you see that work ethic, that stick-to-itiveness, like,
This is your father-in-law?
yeah,
I like him already.
yeah,
I like that guy already.
he puts a lot of young guys to shame with his work ethic.
No question.
The guy's he's a
Well,
tough
I mean,
man.
for me, it was a matter of, it would get under my skin. Like, I ain't gonna let this thing beat me. It's not firing now, but I ain't leaving till this thing fires up because I'm just not gonna let it beat me.
Yeah, you have that little competitiveness in you. I grew up playing sports. I played baseball, but that little bit of competitiveness and then that drive. Like, I don't know, it's like if I'm pitching against some guy and he just got a double off me, the next time he's coming up, like, you're
Not
getting me
this time,
again. Like,
buddy.
I'm gonna throw this fastball right by you. So it's like that little bit of edge and drive. You apply it to this. You're like, I'm not giving up. It takes me 6 hours. It is what it is. My wife's calling me left and right. Hey, what time are you coming home? I was like, whenever I come home.
When I'm done.
As soon as I finish this, I'm coming
When I
home.
get this working. And it's sometimes not always that easy. You take a pump apart, you put it back together, and it leaks. And you take it apart, and you put it back together, and it still leaks. What are you going to do? Well, I guess it's just going to leak from now on. I'm going home because I'm tired. You got to fix it. It's got to be right. It's got to be fixed.
And then that fact that after you get it right, you're like, all right, it was all worth it. I might not be making millions of dollars, but at least I have that satisfaction. I didn't give up, and I was able to figure it out. So it's like, yeah, sometimes you think maybe I'm not the smartest or something, but I stuck to it. I figured it out. For the next time, now you cut some time down. It's not going to take you as long. So it's just.
I don't know if I've ever stopped to think, oh, gee, I'm so dumb. I should have figured this out sooner. I usually feel kind of the other way, like I got this thing straightened out. This is not an easy thing, and I figured it out, and other people don't know how to do this. So I get a little, you get a little buzz off that.
A little pat on the back.
Yeah,
like,
that's
all
right. Hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
I got to say I missed that a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been out of that side of the industry for, I don't know, coming up on 8 years now. And I got to say, look, I don't miss racing back across the valley at 7 o'clock at night because I think I may have left the water on at somebody's house. I don't miss that. I don't miss scooping, let's call them deceased animals out of skimmers. I don't miss that. But, that feeling of satisfaction of knowing that, this is a complicated device and I installed it I took it out of the box, I mounted it, I installed it, I wired it, and look what I can do with this thing now. There's there's a little jolt that comes with that. It's, I miss that a little bit.
Yeah, and if you look back from when beforehand, like for me, I personally I started before when I took my break from the pools, I was in the restaurant industry. So like to kind of get back into it and to not really know too much about power tools and impact drivers and hammer drills and these things, and it's like you start and you see other people that are doing like, oh, how's he do it? He's so advanced, and it's like, well, just put the time in,
Yeah.
and then you look back like you're there, you're like, I know how to do this stuff. It's like, all right, yeah, but you look back and remember like that was a point where I didn't know how to do that stuff. And that's when whenever I do see a guy that wants to apply himself and does want to learn and go through the headaches, I try my best. Like, hey, tag along, by all means, man. Sit here. I'll tell you every little detail that I know. You can be better than me. I have 3 sons. My oldest one is the one that he's a little bit more of like, he likes to see the way things work, and I explain to him electricity and stuff like that. And he really picks up on it. So it's nice. You want to pass that down to him and see what he does with it, and
That's cool.
we'll see what he does,
Yeah.
hopefully he applies it himself. But it's nice, you pick up the knowledge, and like you said, you look back like, yeah, it's not easy. I was able to figure it out, so I stuck to it. It was nice. And I've always told like my kids too, like, so I have 3 boys, but I always tell each one of them, like, you see what I do, hopefully you guys can build off that. You can take it and fly and do way more than me. But if I can show them, just don't give up on it. Just try a little bit harder. Yeah, it's something nice to
That's good
pass on.
stuff.
So
You remember the first thing you ever fixed in the swimming pool industry?
pump seal.
Pump seal. Me too. Oh,
Pump
no, I
seal.
take that back. I did fix a heater, but all I did was splice 2 wires together. That's all I did. And when it worked, I thought hey, look at me. I had some wire nuts and a piece of wire. That's all. That's all it was. But I do remember fixing that first pump seal.
That first pump seal sticks with you. You remember it, exactly how you put it together. And, the bad part is when if the first one's fairly easy, you think the rest of them are like that. That's never the case.
Yeah, and of course, different pumps work differently, and so then it's the first one that you fail at when you put it all back together and you open that valve and water starts pouring out of the bottom of it. You're going, okay, no, I screwed this up. I don't know what I did, but I did it wrong. And there's nothing for it but to start over and do it again.
All over again, do it right. And, with pretty much anything, electricity, the first time you figure something out. I remember I have a picture in my phone of the first plumbing I did by myself. So, like I said, I had mentors, but the first one I decided to do by myself. I didn't tell anybody how I did. I still remember vividly priming it and everything, and then putting it together and stepping back, and then I turned it on, didn't leak. Oh, wow, I did it right. Like, all right, this is nice. And I even forgot to paint it afterwards. It took me like a week to come back. I'm like, oh, I forgot to paint it. But just, those little victories, like, all right, that was nice. I didn't think I was capable of this, and, just little by little. But yeah, those stick with you. Those little victories. Like,
No
right.
question.
And
I couldn't agree more.
the sad part is the time flies so fast. It's already been how many years? And like you said, it's you haven't.
Yeah.
So it's nice. But
Yeah, you look back at those old, you think, oh yeah, I remember that house up there, and I remember here's all the things I fixed on it. You start wondering, wonder if they'd mind if I went in the backyard and see if all that stuff is still there.
Yeah,
that plumbing was pretty complicated. I wonder if I could go take a look at it.
yeah,
I've never actually tried it, but it would be fun, I think.
wouldn't be bad. Just go look back at your work and still see it up and running. Like, all right,
Yeah, still kicking, still moving water. Everything's good.
Yeah, that's the nice part. But
Well, that's fun. We're going to wrap up here in just a second, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to plug your business, man. Where are you? What's the name of your business? Where are you located?
So I'm located in the Coachella Valley, out of Palm Springs, but basically the whole Coachella Valley. I also do a lot of the warranty for Raypak in different areas. I've been Orange County, Inland Empire, different areas. But one of the biggest reasons I like Raypak so much is just it's one of the first heaters I ever learned, and it's been the most dependable in my experience, definitely commercial wise. The Via is a complete new design. It keeps up with the competition. 3-year warranty, you can't beat it. So it's one of those things where it just gives that peace of mind to the customer that I know I'm installing something I'm proud to put my name behind. 3-year warranty, can't beat that. That thing's going to be taken care of for a while. So no one wants to have an item that, after a year it gives out, you have to go spend the money again. So, and I specialize in all the electrical, the plumbing, automation, those things. So give you that ability to not only have a heater, but to be able to use it comfortably. I want to, you're at a restaurant, you want to turn on the hot tub, you just click of a button, turn on the spa, kick up the heater. What could be better than that? Be able to come home to that, as opposed to the old school way of having to go out there, turn on the pump, flip the valves, turn on the heater, then do it all backwards and forget that you left it on. And the next morning you have that thing running still. So, it's just that peace of mind that you can give someone that experience with a pool of just make them much more fun and, interactive. And, it's just that's the way everything's going. Everything's technology. It just makes it simple. And that's what that's what I enjoy doing, giving that peace of mind to people. So.
What's the name of your company?
Rudy De Anda Pool Services.
That seems easy enough, doesn't it? Rudy De Anda
Should have
Pool
come up with something maybe a catcher, but that's what I
don't-
settled with, and it's been working for me. So,
Great.
licensed, bonded, insured, the whole nine. So it's as much of a peace of mind you can give a customer as possible. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Well, I think that ought to just about do it, folks. Thanks for tuning in for another exciting episode of Poolside Podcast. We're appreciative of your patronage. Thanks for stopping by, kids. You stay classy, San Diego.